Welcome to the Poetry Out Loud New York State Final. My name is Twinkle Burke, and I will be your MC for this event. Additionally, we have American Sign Language interpreters, and they are joining us from Sign Nexus. Thank you all for being here. This year, we're thrilled to have the Poetry Out Loud Final here at the Katie Murphy Amphitheater at the Fashion Institute of Technology in the heart of New York City. This event is the culmination of months of activity. For the students performing here today, the journey started in the fall, in schools across the state where someone, usually an amazing teacher, decided to bring poetry out loud to their classrooms. Students explored the online Poetry Out Loud anthology, searching through hundreds of poems by classic and contemporary writers for that special poem that really spoke to them. Then, they got to work memorizing and rehearsing with their classmates for a chance to represent their school at one of the 9 regional semifinal competitions. In total, 7,000 students participated in the Poetry Out Loud program in New York State. 96 students went on to the semifinals, and the 18 students here today are the winners from those events. In New York State, Poetry Out Loud is coordinated by Teachers and Writers Collaborative in partnership with the New York State Council on the Arts. To share a bit more about the work that they do, I would like to introduce Asari Beal, Executive Director of Teachers and Writers Collaborative.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here today. This is truly one of my favorite events of the year. And I hope that you being here means that you believe, as I do, that we all need more poetry in our lives. We need poetry because poetry is able to say those things that are too complicated, too profound to say with everyday words. Especially in these chaotic, sometimes confusing, and even calamitous times, we need poetry, because poetry is the language of our common humanity. On behalf of Teachers and Writers Collaborative, I want to thank the New York State Council on the Arts for entrusting us with this marvelous program. In addition to Poetry Out Loud, Teachers and Writers Collaborative offers Writer in the Schools programs in New York City, and we offer resources for the teaching of creative writing to educators in the United States and around the world. I also want to thank the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation for developing this program that making it available to students across the country. I want to thank the many dedicated teachers who believed in Poetry Out Loud so much and made it come alive for their students. And I want to thank the students themselves for dedicating their time and their energy to the practice of poetry. Yeah. There's a lot of things you could be doing on a Saturday, but you're here, so bravo. Finally, I want to acknowledge the amazing team that I work with at Teachers and Writers Collaborative: Nancy Weber, Alice Pancavel, Joshua Garcia, Lani Fu, Amal Ahmed, and Rachel Dull. Thank you all for all that you've done to make this another fantastic season of Poetry Out Loud. So please. Now I'd like to invite Christine Leahy from the New York State Council on the Arts to the stage to say a few words.
Thank you so much. So I am a program director at the New York State Council on the Arts. I'm really excited to be here with you all sharing this morning together, especially those of you who may have traveled from far to be here. So for those who don't know us, the New York State Council on the Arts, or NYSCA, is a state agency that provides funding to arts organizations and artists across the state. This includes museums like the Strong Museum of Play in Rochester, to theaters like Pendragon in Lake Placid, and literary organizations like Just Buffalo Literary Center, and education programs like Youth FX in Albany. So I'd like to thank Governor Hochul and the New York State Legislature for their support of the arts this year. And it's really an honor to fund programs that make sure New York State's young people have access to the arts every day. Because we know that when New Yorkers of all ages can make and experience the arts, we have healthier and stronger communities. I'd also like to thank Asari and her team at Teachers and Writers for their incredible leadership of this program, as well as the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation. And as Asari mentioned, of course, the teachers and the mentors, parents and guardians are a big reason why everyone is here today. So thank you for everything you've done and your commitment to these students. And a huge congratulations to every student here. You've worked so hard, and we really applaud your bravery and your dedication. You are the next generation of artists and leaders, so we know that the future is bright for New York State, and we hope that you continue your journey with poetry, whether that's as a poet, as a teacher, a reader, an appreciator. We really hope that you continue to make connections through poetry, and we hope you enjoy this very special day.
Thank you, Christine. Poetry Out Loud is a program of the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation. Since 2005, Poetry Out Loud has grown to reach more than 4.1 million students and 68,000 teachers from 17,000 schools and organizations in every state: American Samoa, the District of Columbia, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. In each Poetry Out Loud event, a panel of judges has the difficult task of evaluating the talented students. Each performance is evaluated on the basis of physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, evidence of understanding, overall performance, and accuracy. Excuse me. Sorry, script issues. Our judges for today's event are Jay Howard. Jay Howard is a poet and writer from the Bronx, New York. He truly believes that the lived experience is the ultimate teaching tool and uses poetry as a social forum to foster discourse about love, culture, and identity. He is the recipient of the 2022 Aspen Words Fellowship. Cristina Olivares is a writer, educator, and scholar. Olivares is the author of the books of poetry, Future Botanic, and No Map of the Earth Includes Stars, winner of the 2014 Marsh Hawk Press Book Prize. Olivares is a queer American, Cuban, Bronx-based abolitionist. Aaron Zimmerman is the founder executive director of New York Writers Coalition, one of the leading community writing programs in the country. He's also a novelist, short story writer, occasional poet, and writer of dozens of thankfully unrecorded songs about his cat, Peanut. Our accuracy judge is Stephanie Pacheco. Stephanie Pacheco is the inaugural New York State Youth Poet Laureate and the 2023 New York City Youth Poet Laureate. And finally, the scorekeeper for this event is Asari Beal. Asari Beal is a writer and the executive director of Teachers and Writers Collaborative. Thank you, judges. And now for the main event. There will be 18 students performing today. Each student will perform in round 1 and round 2. A random order was determined in advance. The student and their poems are listed in order of performance in the event program. There will be a 10-minute intermission after the second round. Then the 5 students with the top scores will move on to round 3, from which the winner and runner-up will be selected. We'll have an awards ceremony followed by a reception to close out today's event. All of the state finalists will receive a subscription to Poets and Writers magazine and a copy of the Handbook of Poetic Forms. In addition, the winner and runner-up will receive cash prizes for themselves and their school libraries. Today's winner will go on to represent New York State at the National Poetry Out Loud Championship in Washington, D.C., from April 30th to May 2nd, 2024. Before we begin, I'd like to point out that one of the finalists in the program, Jade Wolf, was not able to join us today. Nonetheless, we congratulate Jade for being a finalist. And now, I'd like to introduce you to the talented students who will be reciting for you today and open up the first round of performances. The students have shared brief statements about themselves and their interests. I'll be reading those to introduce each student as I call them up to the stage. Everybody ready? First up, Rose Scordo. Rose Scordo is a senior at Olean High School. She loves to dance and play tennis for her high school's tennis team.
Listening in Deep Space by Diane Thiel. We've always been out, looking for answers, telling stories about ourselves, searching for connection, choosing to send out Stravinsky and whale song, which, in translation, might very well be our undoing instead of a welcome. We launched satellites, telescopes, probes, unfolding like origami, navigating geometric storms, major disruptions. We listen through large arrays adjusted eagerly to hear the news that we are not alone. Considering the history at home, in houses, across continents, oceans, even quests armed with good intentions, what one seeker has done to another. What will we do when we find each other?
And so, I get to vamp while they're doing the stories. So I have a couple of fun facts and, would you rathers. So today, the question is, would you rather have control over when it rains or when it snows? Well, it's gonna rain today, like hard. So if anybody has that power, they could help us out. Okay. Saida Ahmed is a junior at the Bronx High School of Science, where she's a member of the school's speech and debate team. She enjoys reading and cooking in her spare time.
Miss You. Would like to grab that chilled tofu we love by Gabrielle Calvacaresi. Do not care if you bring only your light body. Would just be so happy to sit at the table and talk about the menu. Miss You. Wish we could bet on which chilies they'll put on the cubes of tofu, our favorite. Sometimes green, sometimes red. Roasted, we always thought, but so cold and fresh. How did they do it? Wish you could be here to talk about it like it was so important. Wish you could. Watched you on the screens as I was walking, as I was cooking. Wished you could get out of the hospital. Can't bring myself to order our dish and eat it in the car. Miss you laughing. Miss you coming in from the cold or one too many meetings, laughing I'll order already. I'll order 7 helpings, some dumplings, those cold yam noodles that you like. You can come in your light body, or skeleton, or be invisible. I don't even care. Know that you have a long way to travel. No, I don't even know if it's long at all. Wish you could tell me what you're reading, if you're reading. Miss you. I'm at the table in the back.
Okay, I have another would you rather. This was actually fun to research. Would you rather have the ability to be invisible whenever you choose, or the power to make people disappear at your command? I think that sometimes also is whether you're a parent or not. Simone Denota is a senior at the School of the Holy Child. Entering her final semester of high school, she is both sad to leave and excited for what this next chapter of her life will bring.
Adam's Curse by William Butler Yeats. We sat together at one summer's end. That beautiful, mild woman, your close friend, and you and I, and talked of poetry. I said, a line will take us hours, maybe. Yet, if it does not seem a moment's thought, our stitching and unstitching has been naught. Better go down upon your marrow bones and scrub a kitchen pavement or break stones like an old pauper in all kinds of weather. For to articulate sweet sounds together is to work harder than all these, and yet be thought an idler by the noisy set of bankers, schoolmasters, and clergymen, the martyrs call the world. And thereupon that beautiful, mild woman for whose sake there's many a one shall find out all heartache. On finding that her voice is sweet and low, replied, to be born woman is to know, although they do not talk of it at school, that we must labor to be beautiful. I said, it's certain there is no fine thing since Adam's fall, but needs much laboring. There have been lovers who thought love should be so much compounded of high courtesy that they would sigh and quote with learned looks precedents out of beautiful old books. Yet now it seems an idle trade enough. We sat grown quiet in the name of love. We saw the last embers of daylight die. And in the trembling blue-green of the sky, a moon, worn as if it had been a shell, washed by time's waters as they rose and fell about the stars and broke in days and years. I had a thought for no one's but your ears, that you were beautiful, and that I strove to love you in the old highway of love, that it had all seemed happy, and yet we'd grown as weary-hearted as that hollow moon.
I neglected to ask everybody to turn off their cell phones, so could everyone please make sure that their cell phones are silenced now so we don't interrupt the performances? Thank you. I think this one might be too soon. Would you rather lose your sense of smell or taste? I think it's too soon. Sorry. Jane Kitch Willis is a freshman at Schenectady High School. She is an avid reader and writer.
The Snowstorm by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Announced by all the trumpets of the sky, arrives the snow, and driving o'er the fields seems nowhere to alight. The whited air hides hills and woods, the river and the heaven, and veils the farmhouse at the garden's end. The sledden traveler stopped, the courier's feet delayed. All friends shut out, the housemates sit around the radiant fireplace, enclosed in a tumultuous privacy of storm. Come see the north wind's masonry, out of an unseen quarry evermore furnished with tile, the fierce artificer curves his white bastions with projected roof round every windward stake or tree or door. Speeding, the myriad-handed, his wild work so fanciful, so savage, naught cares he for number or proportion. Mockingly, on coop or kennel he hangs Parian wreaths. A swan-like form invests the hidden thorn, fills up the farmer's lane from wall to wall. Maugre the farmer sighs, and at the gate, a tapering turret overtops the work. And when his hours are numbered, and the world is all his own retiring, as he were not, leaves when the sun appears, astonished art to mimic in slow structures, stone by stone, built in an age the mad wind's night work, the frolic architecture of the snow.
Okay. I haven't had breakfast, so this is what I came up with. Would you rather eat a tuna fish flavored ice cream or drink a garlic flavored milkshake? I think you could have both those. That would be good. Right? Tasty. Zoey Marcus is a junior at Stuyvesant High School.
It was not death, for I stood up, by Emily Dickinson. It was not death, for I stood up, and all the dead lie down. It was not night, for all the bells put out their tongues for noon. It was not frost, for on my flesh I felt Syracuse crawl, nor fire, for just my marble feet could keep a chancel cool. And yet it tasted like them all. The figures I have seen, set orderly for burial, reminded me of mine, as if my life were shaven and fitted to a frame, and could not breathe without a key. And 'twas like midnight, some, when everything that ticked has stopped, and space stares all around. Or grisly frosts, first autumn morns, repeal the beating ground, but most like chaos, stopless, cool, without a chance or spar or even a report of land to justify despair.
Would you rather work as a lighthouse keeper or a railroad conductor? That's a lot of people or no people? Good. Dylan Foss is a sophomore at Cornwall Central High School. He was born in the Philippines and lived there for 15 years, having recently moved to New Windsor, New York, 5 months ago. He is bilingual, being fluent in the English and Tagalog language. He is of Norwegian, Irish, Spanish, Filipino, Chinese ancestry.
Candles by Carl Dennis. If on your grandmother's birthday you burn a candle to honor her memory, you might think of burning an extra to honor the memory of someone who never met her, a man who may have come to the town she lived in, looking for work and never found it. Picture him taking a stroll one morning after a month of grief with the want ads to refresh himself in the park before moving on. Suppose he notices on the gravel path the shards of a green glass bottle that your grandmother, then still a girl, will be destined to step on when she wanders barefoot away from her school picnic. If he doesn't stoop down and scoop the mess up with the want ad section and carry it to a trash can. For you to burn a candle for him. You needn't suppose the cut would be a deep one, just deep enough to keep her at home the night of the hayride when she meets Helen, who is soon to become her dearest friend, whose brother George, 30 years later, helps your grandfather with a loan so his shoe store doesn't go under in the Great Depression. And his son, your father, is able to stay in school where his love of learning is fanned into flames, a love he labors later to kindle in you. How grateful you are for your father's efforts is shown by the candles you burned for him. But today, for a change, why not a candle for the man whose name is unknown to you? Take a moment to wonder whether he died at home with friends and family or alone on the road, on the lookout for no one to sit at his bedside and hold his hand. The very hand it's time for you to imagine holding.
We're going to go on some fun facts now. If you pass an electric current through a pickled cucumber, it will start glowing. A pickle. Basically, it's a pickle. That's all. Rubber bands will last longer if they're refrigerated. I would forget where they were. As a sophomore at Calhoun High School in Merrick, Ryan Karras is on the varsity soccer team, the varsity lacrosse team, the president of SAD, an officer in the Model UN, and a member of the Athletes Compassionately Educating Students Club. She also reads the morning school announcements.
When You Are Old by William Butler Yeats. When you are old and gray and full of sleep and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes had once and of their shadows deep,
How many loved your moments of glad grace and loved your beauty with love false or true? But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you and loved the sorrows of your changing face. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled and paced upon the mountains overhead and hid his face amid a crowd of stars.
Oh, this is a good one. When you clap, your dominant hand moves towards your other hand. And I tried it, it's true. I reversed it, it felt weird. So next time you applaud a student, try it, see how it goes. Look, you're trying it now, you're wasting your applause, really. Isabel Sherrill is a sophomore at Shoreham-Wading River High School. She plays tennis and runs on her school's spring track team.
The Speakers by Weldon Keys. A equals X, says Mr. 1. A equals B, says Mr. 2. A equals nothing under the sun but A, says Mr. 3. A few applaud, some wipe their eyes, some linger in the shade to see 1 and 2 in neat disguise decapitating Mr. 3. The sage is not entirely bad. It's bad enough, God knows. But you should know Elizabethans had Sweeneys and Mrs. Porters, too. The past goes down and disappears. The present stumbles home to bed. The future stretches out in years that no one knows, and you'll be dead.
The first fax machine was invented by a Scotsman, Alexander Bain, in 1843. I don't know if I believe that. I typed it, but I don't know if I believe it. Don't you need electricity for fax? Now I'm confused. Kai Dirksen is a junior at Hastings High School. They love theater and biological sciences.
The Graball Man by Seamus Heaney. As if he had been poured in tar, he lies on a pillow of turf and seems to weep the black river of himself. The grain of his wrists is like bog oak, the ball of his heel like a basalt egg. His instep has shrunk, cold as a swan's foot or a wet swamp fruit. His hips are the ridge and purse of a muscle, his spine an eel arrested under a glisten of mud. The head lifts. The chin is a visor raised above the vent of his slashed throat that is tanned and toughened. The cured wound opens inward to a dark elderberry place. Who will say corpse to his vivid cast? Who will say body to his opaque repose and his rusted hair, a mat unlikely as a fetus's? I first saw his twisted face in a photograph, a head and shoulder out of the peat, bruised like a forceps baby, but now he lies, perfected in my memory, down to the red horn of his nails, hung in the scales with beauty and atrocity. With the dying gall too strictly compassed on his shield, with the actual weight of each hooded victim slashed and dumped.
In 1887, Susanna Salter became the first female mayor in the USA in Argonia, Kansas. The men in her town had put her on the ballot as a joke, not expecting her to win. Who's laughing now? Caitlin Rams is a junior at Herrick's High School. She enjoys spending time with her family and playing video games.
To Madame Curie by Alice Moore Dunbar Nelson. Oft have I thrilled at deeds of high emprise and yearned to venture into realms unknown. Thrice blessed she, I deemed, whom God had shown how to achieve great deeds in woman's guise. Yet what discovery by expectant eyes of foreign shores could vision half the throne full gained by her, whose power fully grown exceeds the conquerors of the uncharted skies? So would I be this woman, whom the world avows its benefactor, nobler far than Sybil, Joan, Sappho, or Egypt's queen. In the alembic forged her shafts and hurled at pain, diseases, waging a humane war. Greater than this achievement? None, I ween.
You all tried that clapping thing, didn't you? I was watching. The average male brain weighs 49 ounces. However, Albert Einstein's brain weighed 43. The density of the neurons was greater. Sarah Pepino is a sophomore at Saratoga Springs High School. She likes theater and playing with her 2 English bulldogs when they have the energy.
Summer by Chen Chen. You are the ice cream sandwich connoisseur of your generation. Blessed are your floral shorteralls, your deeply pink fanny pack with travel-size lint roller, just in case. I'm so sorry. Level of splendiferous in your outfit, 200. Types of invisible pain stemming from adolescent disasters in classrooms, locker rooms, and quite often Toyota Camrys, at least 10,000. You are not a Jigglypuff, not yet a Wigglytuff. Reporters and fathers call your generation the worst, which really means queer kids who could go online and learn that queer doesn't have to mean disaster or dead. Instead, queer means splendiferously you. And you means someone who knows that common flavors for ice cream sandwiches in Singapore include red bean, yam, and honeydew. Your powers are great, are growing. One day, you will create an online personality quiz that also freshens the breath. The next day, you will tell your father, you were wrong to say that I had to change, to make me promise I would, to make me promise and promise. Thank you.
So Michelangelo created his famous statue of David from a piece of marble that had been refused by other sculptors. When he finally got it, the piece of marble had been sitting around for 40 years. In 2020, Italy was the first country to make climate change lessons compulsory for all children. Caden Young, a junior at Whitesboro High School, finds his biggest passion in music. He plays percussion at a level 5 NISMA level and creates dedicated album reviews.
Propositions by Stephen Dunn. Anyone who begins a sentence with, "in all honesty," is about to tell a lie. Anyone who says, "this is how I feel," had better love form more than disclosure. Same for anyone who thinks he thinks well because he had a thought. If you say, "you're ugly," to an ugly person, no credit for honesty, which must always be a discovery, an act that qualifies as an achievement. If you persist, you're just a cruel bastard, a pig without a mirror, somebody who hasn't examined himself enough. A hesitation hints at an attempt to be honest, suggests a difficulty is present. A good sentence needs a clause or two, interruptions set off by commas, evidence of slowing down, a rethinking. Before I asked my wife to marry me, I told her I'd never be fully honest. No one, she said, had ever said that to her. I was trying to be radically honest, but in fact had another motive. A claim without a but in it is, at best, only half true. In all honesty, I was asking in advance to be forgiven.
The Biraha is an isolated tribe in Brazil's Amazon region whose language has no words for colors. They also have no grammatical distinction between the singular and the plural of words, including pronouns. Ariadne Sivin is a freshman at Horace Mann in the Bronx. The daughter of a Greek immigrant, she has always been fascinated by mythology. When she is not rereading her new favorite poem, you can probably find her editing her last novel, working on her current poetry collection, or thinking about a math problem.
Siren's Song by Margaret Atwood. This is the one song everyone would like to learn, the song that is irresistible, the song that forces men to leap overboard in squadrons, even though they see the beached skulls. The song nobody knows because anyone who has heard it is dead, and the others can't remember. Shall I tell you the secret? And if I do, will you get me out of this bird suit? I don't enjoy it here, squatting on this island, looking picturesque and mythical with these two feathery maniacs. I don't enjoy singing this trio, fatal and valuable. I will tell the secret to you, only to you. Come closer. The song is a cry for help. Help me, only you can. You are unique at last. Alas, it is a boring song, but it works every time.
So plogging is the activity of jogging while picking up trash. Jogging for 30 minutes burns 270 calories. Jogging while plogging burns 330. As a senior at Syosset High School, James Messon is passionate about the piano, poetry, and sleeping, all providing balance to his AP course-filled schedule.
Kubla Khan by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, or A Vision in a Dream. A fragment. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, where Alph, the sacred river, ran through caverns measureless to man, down to a sunless sea. So twice 5 miles of fertile ground with walls and towers were girdled round, and there were gardens, bright with sinuous rills, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree. And there were forests, ancient as the hills, enfolding sunny spots of greenery. But, oh, that deep, romantic chasm which slanted down the green hill athwart a cedarn cover, a savage place, as holy and enchanted as ere beneath a waning moon was haunted by woman wailing for her demon lover. And from this chasm with ceaseless turmoil seething as if this earth in fast, thick pants were breathing, a mighty fountain momently was forced, amid whose swift half-intermitted burst, huge fragments vaulted like rebounding hail or chaffy grain beneath the thresher's flail. And mid these dancing rocks at once and ever, it flung up momently the sacred river. 5 miles meandering with a mazy motion through wood and dale the sacred river ran, then reached the caverns, measureless to man, and sank in tumult to a lifeless ocean. And mid this tumult Kubla heard from far ancestral voices prophesying war. The shadow of the dome of pleasure floated midway on the waves, where was heard the mingled measure from the fountain and the caves. It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice. A damsel with a dulcimer in a vision once I saw. It was an Abyssinian maid, and on her dulcimer she played, singing of Mount Abora. Could I revive within me her symphony and song, to such a deep delight 'twould win me, that with music loud and long I would build that dome in air, that sunny dome, those caves of ice, and all who heard should see them there, and all should cry, beware, beware, his flashing eyes, his floating hair. Weave a circle round him thrice, and close your eyes with holy dread, for he on honeydew hath fed, and drunk the milk of paradise.
Since 2019, commuters who use the public transportation in Rome, Italy, can exchange their used plastic bottles for metro or bus tickets. People insert the plastic bottles into the machine and receive a ticket on an app through their smartphones. You guys are good. Emily Wang is a junior at Horace Mann School who realized in her middle school poetry unit that poems, contrary to her prior belief, weren't wishy-washy words. She enjoys the lack of beating around the bush.
Discrimination by Kenneth Rexroth. I don't mind the human race. I've got pretty used to them in these past 25 years. I don't mind if they sit next to me on streetcars or eat in the same restaurants, if it's not at the same table. However, I don't approve of a woman I respect dancing with one of them. I've tried asking into my home without success. I shouldn't care to see my own sister marry one, even if she loved him. Think of the children. Their art is interesting, but certainly barbarous. I'm sure if given a chance, they'd kill us all in our beds. And you must admit, they smell.
The board game Monopoly used to be illegal in Cuba. I couldn't find any more information about that. I'm very curious. Jinx Hill is a senior at Roy C. Ketchum High School who taught herself how to ride a bike this summer at 16 years old and is now sure she can do anything except a cartwheel.
I felt a funeral in my brain. Poem 340 by Emily Dickinson. I felt a funeral in my brain, and mourners to and fro kept treading, till it seemed that sense was breaking through. And when they all were seated, a service, like a drum, kept beating, till I thought my mind was going numb. And then I heard them lift a box and creak across my soul with those same boots of lead again. Then space began to toll. As all the heavens were abell and being, but near, and I, in silence, some strange race wrecked, solitary here. And then a plank in reason broke, and I dropped down and hit a world at every plunge, and finished knowing. Then
the Nigerian film industry, known as Nollywood, produces about 50 movies per week, more than Hollywood in the United States. It is second only to India's Bollywood. I wonder about the quality of these movies. And who watches all of them? Anadia St. John is a senior at Jamesville DeWitt High School. She enjoys spending time with her dog, Shiloh, and reading realistic fiction novels in her free time.
Spring Snow by Arthur Z. A spring snow coincides with plum blossoms. In a month you will forget. Then remember when 9 ravens perched in the elm's sway and wind. I will remember when I break to a stop and a hubcap rolls through the intersection. An angry man grinds pepper onto a salad. It is how you nail a tin amulet's ear into the lintel. If, in deep emotion, we are possessed by the idea of possession, we can never lose to recover what is ours. Sounds of an abacus are amplified and condensed to resemble sounds of hail on a tin roof. But mind opens to the smell of whitening. Bodies were vaporized to shadows by intense heat. In memory, people outline bodies on walls.
In South Korea, the typical gift for a housewarming party is toilet paper. Who's that smart? I mean, I guess, yeah. That concludes round 1. Can we give these amazing students a round of applause? Okay, now we are on to round 2. Up first is Caden Young. Besides his passion for music, Caden Young is a black belt in Taekwondo, showcasing a high level of dedication and discipline.
Le Madid by Richard Aldington. Women's tears are but water. The tears of men are blood. He sits alone in the firelights, and on either side drifts by sleep. Like a torrent whirling, profound, wrinkled, and dumb. Circuitously, stealthily, dawn occupies the city. As if the seasons knew of his grief, spring had suddenly changed into snow. Disaster and sorrow have made him their pet. He cannot escape their accursed embraces. For all his dodgings, memory will lacerate him. What good does it do to wander night's hours through city streets? Only that in poor places he can be with common men and receive their unspoken instinctive sympathy. What has life done for him? He stands alone in the darkness, like a sentry never relieved, looking over a barren space, awaiting the tardy finish.
The Turkish province of Batman is collecting signatures to redraw its borders into the shape of the Batman logo. Over 26,000 people have signed it since 2018. We should keep our eye on that. Caitlin Rams is a member of her high school's literature club, and she enjoys reading and writing.
to the Dollar Store by Al Young. Just tell me, who the hell am I? What powers do I hold? What right have I to say my or mine or me? All honey glazed, all bulletproofed, and worshipful of any gangster, I? The key to the Dollar Store hangs on my belt. Yes, my again. And what of roof, of bread, of loving laughter? What's in? My vinyl favorite, Booker Little vintage, soothes me. He jars our ears with trumpet joy and stuff freed folks stash in cabinets. Never one to make too much of why we love and what. I love my powers. I might put you in my will.
So I'm going to stay in 2018 for a minute. In 2018, hundreds of doctors in Quebec, Canada, protested against their pay raises, saying they already made too much money. I wonder if they still feel that way, though. Things are different than 2018. Kai Dirksen is the lead vocalist of the Hastings klezmer band Chutzpah on Hudson and the student liaison to the Board of Education.
Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never, in extremity, it asked a crumb of me.
Many world maps leave out New Zealand. So many so that there is a website dedicated to this phenomenon. I did go look at it. It's very hard to navigate. Awkwardly, the list includes the government of New Zealand. When he's not playing the piano, sharing favorite poems with his dad, or sleeping, James Masson enjoys the beauty of math, and that's why, as of now, at least, he's looking for a career in finance.
At the City Pound by Vincent O'Sullivan. I'm in charge of a cage. I know those that won't. I don't mean can't, just won't. There's a roster for Tuesdays, Fridays. Dogs to die. The disconsolate, the abandoned, those with recurrent symptoms, the incorrigible mutt. Oh, a dozen choices by way of reasons. Even so, some won't. Won't play along once their number's up. The rainbow bridge in the offing, as the posher clinics put it. A pig's ear is a final treat. A venison chew, the profession behaving beautifully at a time like this. Still those that won't. Won't go nicely, I mean, with a gaze to melt, a last slobbed lick, those with a soul's defiance. Oh, embarrassment in the lunchroom, should you come at that one. Even after the bag is zipped, you feel it. We're real at the end as you are, Buster. We sniff the wind. What say if we say it together? Won't.
The Pacific Ocean is 5 times wider than the moon. Got another one. The taxis in Mexico are pink. Sarah Pepino loves to travel and learn about the world. She is currently learning Korean, Spanish, and French.
Songs for the People by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. Let me make the songs for the people, songs for the old and young, songs to stir like a battle cry wherever they are sung. Not for the clashing of sabers, for carnage nor for strife, but songs to thrill the hearts of men with more abundant life. Let me make the songs for the weary, amid life's fever and fret, till hearts shall relax their tension and careworn brows forget. Let me sing for little children, before their footsteps stray, sweet anthems of love and duty to float o'er life's highway. I would sing for the poor and aged, when shadows dim their sight, of the bright and restful mansions where there shall be no night. Our world, so worn and weary, needs music, pure and strong, to hush the jangle and discord of sorrow, pain, and wrong. Music to soothe all its sorrow, till war and crime shall cease, and the hearts of men grown tender girdle the world with peace.
During the 1936 Olympic Games, it was discovered that Liechtenstein and Haiti had identical flags. This is Jinx Hill's second year competing in Poetry Out Loud, and they are excited to be back.
Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze and the trade wind soft through sighing trees and the fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. His tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom.
The Canary Islands were named for a dog. After a dog. I don't know what dog. It is possible to tie a necktie 85 different ways. I know of 3. Simone Denota is a member of her school's drama department. Currently, she is playing Billy Flynn in Chicago. In college, she hopes to pursue a career in the communications field while maintaining her passion for theater in student organizations.
A Shropshire Lad 2, Loveliest of Trees, the Cherry Now, by A.E. Housman. Loveliest of trees, the cherry now is hung with bloom along the bough and stands about the woodland ride, wearing white for Eastertide. Now of my 80 years and 10, 20 will not come again, and take from 70 springs a score. It only leaves me 50 more. And since to look at things in bloom, 50 springs are little room. About the woodlands I will go to see the cherry hung with snow.
I found a fact I want to dispute. I didn't look it up because I didn't have time, but I dispute this fact. Mike Urasek invented baby carrots in 1986. Now, does that mean nobody cut carrots? Because aren't those baby carrots? I don't get that. I don't understand that. While working out or simply working on homework, Emily Wang enjoys listening to breakcore funk and classical music. Don't hate it until you've tried it.
Nightbird by Danusia Lemaris. Hear me! Sometimes thunder is just thunder. The dog barking is only a dog. Leaves fall from the trees because the days are getting shorter. By which I mean not the days that we have left, but the actual length of time, given the tilt of Earth and distance from the sun. My nephew used to see a therapist who mentioned that at play, he sank a toy ship and tried to save the captain. Not, he said, that we want to read anything into that. Who can read the world? Its paragraphs of cloud and alphabets of dust. Just now, a nightbird outside my window made a single plaintive cry that wafted up between the trees. Not, I'm sure, that it was meant for me.
So I at one point tried to convince my husband to go vegan, and I went from a month to 3 weeks to 2 weeks to a couple days, and he said, "What about cheese?" And then I found this fun fact, is that cheese is the most stolen food in the world. We did not go vegan, by the way. Jane Kitch-Willis participates in theater, trivia, art, and environmental clubs, and volunteers for Kitten Angels, a cat rescue charity.
Self-Portrait as So Much Potential by Chen Chen. Dreaming of one day being as fearless as a mango, as friendly as a tomato, merciless to chin and shirt front. Realizing I hate the word sip, but that's all I do. I drink so slowly and say I'm tasting it when I'm just bad at taking in liquid. I'm no mango or tomato. I'm a rusty yawn in a rumored year. I'm an Arctic attic. Come amble in ampersand in the slippery polar clutter. I am not the heterosexual neat freak my mother raised me to be. I am a gay sipper, and my mother has placed what's left of her hope on my brothers. She wants them to gulp up the world, spit out solid degrees, responsible grandchildren ready to gobble. They will be better than mangoes, my brothers. Though I have trouble imagining what that could be. Flying mangoes, perhaps. Flying mango tomato hybrids. Beautiful sons.
Okay, I got another would you rather. Would you rather be able to shoot lightning out of your fingers or create hurricane force wings with your mind? Oh, I got a lightning. All right. That's pretty good. Have you all made a decision? Rose Scordo has been president of the Olene's Z Club for 2 years and is the event coordinator for her school's Student Activities Council.
The Definition of Love by Andrew Marvell. My love is of a birth as rare as 'tis for objects strange and high. It was begotten by despair upon impossibility. Magnanimous despair alone could show me so divine a thing, where feeble hope could never have flown, but vainly flapped its tinsel wing. And yet I quickly might arrive where my extended soul is fixed, but fate does iron wedges drive and always crowds itself betwixt. For fate with jealous eye does see 2 perfect loves, nor lets them close. Their union would her ruin be, and her tyrannic power depose. And therefore her decrease of steel us as the distant poles have placed, though love's whole world on us doth wheel, not by themselves to be embraced. Unless the giddy heaven fall, and earth some new convulsion tear, and us to join, the world should all be cramped into a planisphere. As lines, so love's oblique may well themselves in every angle greet, but ours so truly parallel, though infinite, can never meet. Therefore, the love which us doth bind, but fate so enviously debars, is the conjunction of the mind and opposition of the stars.
Okay. Would you rather be stuck at the top of a Ferris wheel or in a graveyard at night? I got a lot of, I don't know who picked what. Dylan Foss enjoys writing, playing tennis, and swimming. He is a member of the math team and has had a passion for the violin since the 5th grade, joining 2 orchestras ever since.
The Affliction of Richard by Robert Bridges. Love not too much. But how? When thou hast made me such, and dost thy gifts bestow, how can I love too much? Though I must fear to lose and drown my joy in care, with all its thorns, I choose the path of love and prayer. Though thou, I know not why, didst kill my childish trust, that breach with toil did I repair, because I must, in spite of frightening schemes with which the fiends of hell blaspheme thee in my dreams. So far, I have hoped well. But what the heavenly key, what marvel in me wrought, shall quite exculpate thee? I have no shadow of thought. What am I that complain? The love from which began my question, sad and vain, justifies thee to man.
There are 19 ingredients in McDonald's French fries. One of them is dextrose. It's a form of sugar that gives them their perfect golden color. Anadia St. John is an art lover at heart. She enjoys using acrylic paints, working with charcoal, and she hopes to learn watercolor soon.
To Have Without Holding by Marge Piercy. Learning to love differently is hard. Love with the hands wide open. Love with the doors banging on their hinges. The cupboard unlocked. The wind roaring and whimpering in the rooms, rustling the sheets and snapping the blinds that thwack like rubber bands in an open palm. It hurts to love wide open, stretching the muscles that feel as if they're made of wet plaster, then of blunt knives, then of sharp knives. It hurts to thwart the reflexes of grab, of clutch, to love and let go again and again. It pesters to remember the lover who is not in the bed, to hold back what is owed to the work that gutters like a candle in a cave without air, to love consciously, conscientiously, concretely, constructively. I can't do it. You say it's killing me, but you thrive. You glow on the street like a neon raspberry. You float and sail a helium balloon, bright spatulas, but in blue and bobbing on the cold and hot winds of our breath as we make and unmake in passionate diastole and systole, the rhythm of our unbound bonding, to have and not to hold, to love with minimized malice, hunger and anger, moment by moment, balanced.
So, FYI, Ethan Zuckerman, the man who created the internet pop-up ads in 1994, apologizes for creating them. When Ariadne Sivan was 7 years old, she walked into an unfamiliar Taekwondo studio for the first time. Now, she is a second-degree black belt and teaches a class of 7-year-olds every week, which gives her a healthy dose of sympathy for the people who taught her.
Crossing the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Sunset and evening star and one clear call for me. And may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea. But such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam, when that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and evening bell, and after that, the dark. And may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark, for though from out our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar.
Oh, ciabatta bread was invented in 1982. I thought it was always around. Saida Hamed volunteers at the Botanical Garden and has a passion for environmental activism. As a member of her school's Journal of Biology and an aspiring doctor, she writes about innovative and sustainable developments in medicine.
Before the Birth of One of Her Children by Anne Bradstreet. All things within this fading world hath end. Adversity doth still our joys attend, no ties so strong, no friends so dear and sweet. But with death's parting blow is sure to meet, the sentence passed is most irrevocable. A common thing, yet oh, inevitable. How soon, my dear, death may my steps attend, how soon 't may be thy lot to lose thy friend. We are both ignorant, yet love bids me these farewell lines to recommend to thee, that when that knot's untied that made us one, I may seem thine who in effect am none, and if I see not half my days that's due, what nature would, God grant to yours and you. The many faults that well you know I have, let be interred in my oblivious grave. If any worth or virtue were in me, let that live freshly in thy memory. And when thou feel'st no grief, as I, no harms, yet love thy dead who long lay in thine arms. And when thy loss shall be repaid with gains, look to my little babes, my dear remains, and if thou love thyself or lovest me, these, O protect from stepdame's injury. And if chance to thine eyes shall bring this verse, with some sad sighs, honor my absent hearse, and kiss this paper for thy love's dear sake, who with salt tears this last farewell did take.
So it was found out that the countries of Chad and Romania also have identical flags. It's blue on the left, yellow in the middle, and red on the right. Isabel Sherrill is currently in the Women in Science and Engineering program and the Tri-M Music Honor Society at her school.
What lips my lips have kissed, and where and why, by Edna St. Vincent Millay. What lips my lips have kissed, and where and why I have forgotten. And what arms have lain under my head till morning. But the rain is full of ghosts tonight that tap and sigh upon the glass and listen for reply. And in my heart there stirs a quiet pain for unremembered lads that not again will turn to me at midnight with a cry. Thus, in the winter stands the lonely tree, nor knows what birds have vanished one by one, yet knows its boughs more silent than before. I cannot say what loves have come and gone. I only know that summer sang in me a little while, that in me sings no more.
The Netherlands exports more soy sauce than Japan. Bet you didn't know that. Zoey Marcus is the co-president of the Poetry Club at her school.
Wedding Poem by Ross Gay for Keith and Jen. Friends, I am here to modestly report seeing in an orchard in my town a goldfinch kissing a sunflower again and again, dangling upside down by its tiny claws, steadying itself by snapping open like an old-timey fan its wings again and again, until, swooning, it tumbled off and swooped back to the very same perch where the sunflower curled its giant swirling of seeds around the bird and leaned back to admire the soft wind nudging the bird's plumage. And friends, I could see the points on the flower's stately crown soften and curl inward as it almost indiscernibly lifted the food of its body to the bird's nuzzling mouth, whose fervor I could hear from 20 or 30 feet away and see from the tiny hulls that sailed from their good racket, which good racket, I have to say, was making me blush and rock up on my tippy toes and just barely purse my lips with what I realize now was being simply glad, which such love, if we let it, makes us feel.
California, Delaware, Florida, Oregon, Idaho, Kansas, Nevada, and New Hampshire are all towns in Ohio. Ryan Karras loves to play sports with her favorite as lacrosse. She loves to be with her family, friends, and dog. Ryan enjoys reading, listening to music, writing, and being a camp counselor during the summer.
Once the World Was Perfect by Joy Harjo. Once the world was perfect and we were happy in that world. Then we took it for granted. Discontent began a small rumble in the earthly mind. Then doubt pushed through with its spiked head, and once doubt ruptured the web, all manner of demon thoughts jumped through. We destroyed the world we had been given for inspiration for life. Each stone of jealousy, each stone of fear, greed, envy, and hatred put out the light. No one was without a stone in his or her hand. There we were. Right back where we had started, we were bumping into each other in the dark. And now we had no place to live since we didn't know how to live with each other. Then, one of the stumbling ones took pity on another and shared a blanket. A spark of kindness made a light. The light made an opening in the darkness. Everyone worked together to make a ladder. A wind clan person climbed out first into the next world, and then the other clans, the children of those clans, their children and their children, all the way through time to now, into this morning light, to you.
That concludes round 2. Thank you, all of you, for your amazing performances. And now we're going to take a short break. Please return to your seats in 10 minutes for the final round and awards ceremony. And turn your cell phones back off. Thank you. So welcome back. Can you please give a round of applause for all of the talented students that performed here today? I'm sorry, we have to wait for our interpreter. Okay. So, our scorekeeper has tallied the scores and shared the names of the 5 students moving on to round 3. The students are Zoey Marcus, James Masson, Isabel Sherrill, Anadia St. John, and Emily Wang. Congratulations. And now on to round 3. The first to the stage is Zoey Marcus. Zoey loves to write poetry too. Her work has won Scholastic Writing Awards and has been published in an anthology.
And Soul by Evan Boland. My mother died one summer, the wettest in the records of the state. Crops rotted in the west, checked tablecloths dissolved in back gardens, empty deck chairs collected rain. As I took my way to her through traffic, through lilacs dripping blackly behind houses and on curbsides, to pay her the last tribute of a daughter, I thought of something I remembered. I heard once that the body is, or is said to be, almost all water, and as I turned southward, that ours is a city of it, one in which every single day the elements begin a journey towards each other that will never, given our weather, fail. The ocean, visible in the edges cut by it, cloud color reaching into air, the Liffey storing one and summoning the other, salt greeting the lack of it at the north wall, and, as if that wasn't enough, all of it ending up almost every evening inside our speech. Coast, canal, ocean, river, stream, and now mother. And I drove on. And although the mind is unreliable in grief, at the next cloudburst, it almost seemed they could be shades of each other, the way the body is of every one of them. And now they were on the move again. Fog into mist, mist into sea spray, and both into the oily glaze that lay on the railings of the house she was dying in as I went inside.
Fun fact, gummy bears can be used for rocket fuel. I don't eat those, and I'm never going to eat them. 2 years ago, together with his mom, James Masson started Made by Mary, a charcuterie board catering company. Order forms will be available after the round. Just kidding.
Onions by William Matthews. How easily happiness begins by dicing onions. A lump of sweet butter slithers and swirls across the floor of the sauté pan, especially if its errant path crosses a tiny slick of olive oil. Then a tumble of onions. This could mean soup, or risotto, or chutney, from the Sanskrit chutney, to lick. Slowly the onions go limp, and then nacreous, and then what cookbooks call clear. Though if they were eyes, you could see clearly the cataracts in them. It's true, it can make you weep to peel them, to unfurl and to tease from the taut ball first the brittle caramel-colored and decrepit papery outside layer. The least recent, the reticent onion wrapped around its growing body. For there's nothing to an onion but skin. And it's true, you can go on weeping as you go on in, through the moist middle skins, the sweetest and thickest. And you can go on in to the core, to the bud-like, acrid, fibrous skins densely clustered there, stalky and incomplete. And these are the most pungent, like the nuggets of nightmare and rage and murmury animal comfort that infant humans secrete. This is the best domestic perfume. You sit down to eat, with the rumor of onions still on your twice-washed hands, and lift to your mouth a hint of a story about loam and usual endurance. It's there when you clean up and rinse the wine glasses, and make a joke, and you leave the minutest whiff of it on the light switch. Later, when you climb the stairs.
Since 2018, Singapore's Changi Airport has been offering passengers a slide ride that takes them to their gate. I don't know, I think I'd do that. In her free time, Isabel Sherrill enjoys reading, writing, and singing.
When I have fears that I may cease to be, by John Keats. When I have fears that I may cease to be, before my pen has gleaned my teeming brain, before high-piled books in carrick tree hold, like rich garners the full ripened grain. When I behold upon the night's starred face huge, cloudy symbols of a high romance, and think that I may never live to trace their shadows with the magic hand of chance. And when I feel, fair creature of an hour, that I shall never look upon thee more, never have relish in the fairy power of unreflecting love, then on the shore of the wide world I stand alone and think, till love and fame to nothingness do sink.
Spain holds the record of being mentioned in 13 national anthems of other countries. France is second with 8 mentions. And speaking of, in the 14th century, mayonnaise was invented in what we know as Spain. Anadia St. John spends her Thursday afternoons helping out at her church's food pantry. She plans on going to college and majoring in psychology.
Songs for the People by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. Let me make the songs for the people, songs for the old and young, songs to stir like a battle cry wherever they are sung. Not for the clashing of sabers, for carnage, nor for strife, but songs to thrill the hearts of men with more abundant life. Let me make the songs for the weary, amid life's fever and fret, till hearts shall relax their tension and careworn brows forget. Let me sing for little children before their footsteps stray, sweet anthems of love and duty to float our lives' highway. I would sing for the poor and aged, when shadows dim their sights of the bright and restful mansions where there shall be no night. Our world, so worn and weary, needs music pure and strong to hush the jangle and discords of sorrow, pain, and wrong. Music to soothe all its sorrows, till war and crime shall cease and the hearts of men grow tender, girdle the world with peace.
I'm going to remind you to turn your cell phones off again, please. Thank you. In 2012, in Switzerland, they held a referendum on the federal initiative of 6 weeks of vacation for everyone. 2/3 of the voters voted no. I think we should move and vote. Emily Wang's Broadway obsession never dies. Even to this day, she can recite Hamilton by heart. You best believe she'd never throw away her shot at karaoke.
The Debt by Paul Laurence Dunbar.
This is the debt I pay. Just for one riotous day? Years of regret and grief, sorrow without relief. Pay it? I will. To the end. Until the grave, my friend, gives me a true release, gives me the clasp of peace. Slight was the thing I bought, small was the debt I thought, poor was the loan at best. God, but the interest.
That concludes today's performances. Let's give a big round of applause for all of the students. Can I get a hand? Okay, well, I'm moving forward. While the final scores are being tabulated, I'm going to call each student back to the stage to receive a medal in recognition of their achievement as a 2024 Poetry Out Loud State Finalists. So I'm going to go get the medals first, and then we'll get that. I'm holding this very well. Sorry. All right. Got it? Okay. So, as I call your name, please come forward and remain on the stage for the final announcement of the winner and runner-up. Sayeda Ahmed. Ariadne Sivan. Simone Denoda. Kai Dirksen. Dylan Foss. Jinx Hill. Ryan Karras. Jane Kitch Willis. Zoey Marcus. James Masson. Sarah Pepino. Caitlin Rams. Isabel Sherrill. Rose Scordo. And Nadia St. John. Maybe? Okay. Emily Wang. Caden Young. Okay. Yeah, if you. Okay. I also just want to say you guys were amazing. I've been doing this. This is really wonderful. Okay, our runner-up is Zoey Marcus. And our winner for the New York State Final is Emily Wang. Congratulations. On behalf of Teachers and Writers Collaborative, thank you to the students, teachers, and everyone who helped make this event possible. Please join us now for a reception at the lower level of the theater. Thank you.